All right, guys, we are back for week 9 of the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. As you can see, if you watched my UFC 307 predictions, we did pretty damn good. We went 8-2 for an 80% accuracy rate on the entire card. I ended up going 9-3. But there are obviously some fights we didn't break down on YouTube. But yeah, we're back for the Contender Series. Last week we went 4-1. Only fight we missed on was the underdog shot we took, of course, in Alberto Montes getting that submission. We had his opponent in Carlos Calderon. But when it comes to this week for the Contender Series, man, I like these fights. I think these fights are pretty good. I thought last week's fights were pretty good as well. But first fight up for this week, and obviously, let me say this before we get started, I am currently at almost a 69% accuracy rate through 8 weeks of the Contender Series. I said I wanted to end at 80%. I don't think that's possible, but I'd like to end above 70% for the entire series. I said in the beginning that I'm good at picking the Contender Series fights, and so far it has proven to be true. We only had 1 week where we went negative with 2-3, and that could have easily been 4-1 with the split decisions with Elijah Smith, and there was one other fight that the fighter lost via a split decision. But yeah, let's kick it off with this week. We're going to start with the first fight up between Sean Gauchi taking on Anthony Drillich in the flyweight division. Both of these guys fighting out of Eternal MMA. I believe Gurlich is Eternal MMA, or he's Hex Fight Series, and then his opponent in Drillich, Anthony Drillich, 8-1. He fights out of Eternal MMA. Am I correct? Yeah, Eternal MMA. So, you know, two Australian MMA circuits. And, man, both these guys are pretty good. I think the volume upside is definitely on the side of Sean Gauchi. I like the way he mixes up his combinations. He switches stances constantly between orthodox and southpaw, throws good low kicks, throws good combinations with his hands. He can also use his wrestling as well. Drillich is a good fighter, though, man. He's very sharpshooter-esque. Like, he only needs to find that one counter shot. But at the same time, based on the fact that the counters are kind of hard to find, he lacks volume, he lacks output, but he makes up for it in damage. He has 6 wins by way of finish, 2 wins by decision, 4 KOs, 2 submissions. On the side of Sean Gauchi, he is 9-1. And out of his 9 victories, he has 5 wins by KO, 4 by decision. So the fighter who has less finishing instinct is Sean Gauchi, but I kind of like that a little bit more in this fight because I think he can mix up his volume. He can mix it up to the head, mix it up to the body, switch his stances, orthodox and southpaw. The main weapon he's going to be looking for is that overhand right. Coming up against a southpaw fighter in Drillich, who moves on the outside, keeps his hands up pretty high, and just tries to shoot in with that straight left hand, tries to go 1-2 down the middle and just find that opening. He's very, very patient, but I think the patience is kind of what's going to give him some issues in this fight. I do think that Sean Gauchi can be hit, but again, I like his volume, I like his output, I like the fact that he changes stances, and he's good at setting up the angles for the right hand. Going against the southpaw, the left hook into the straight right is going to be a good weapon. The jab left hook right hand, the feint jab overhand right, even though that mainly works in a stance versus stance, equal stance matchup, I guess you could say, where both guys are in the same stance. I do think he can find those opportunities, but he's very good with the overhands. The straight punches are going to be better with that opposite stance opponent. I do think that the better straight puncher is his opponent in Drillich, but again, it's the lack of volume that really gives me some concern in this fight. He finds his openings and he fires, and every time he lands, man, he hurts his opponents. But I think he's going to lose here, man. I like Gauchi. I think Gauchi's going to kind of break him down, but I'm actually going to go Sean Gauchi to win by decision. I know he's got a bunch of finishes, but at the same time, he can go to decision. He doesn't mind going, the full distance, and I like the output. I like the tools in his toolbox. I think he throws more numbers. I think he puts combinations together better, and I think it's going to be the power and explosiveness of the single shot explosions from his opponent in Drillich, but can he survive them? I think he can. I think he hurts Drillich as well, and I think he lands more output. So give me Sean Gauchi. I'm going to go Gauchi 29-28 unanimous decision. Tough fight because of the power, because of the explosiveness. He's very accurate with that straight left hand as well. But the stance changes might make it a little bit harder for him to find those angles. But give me Sean Gauchi 29-28 unanimous decision. Up next, you got a battle in the welterweight division between Islam Dulatov taking on Vanilto Antunes. I think that this is a good fight. The Ripper in Islam Dulatov, like, this kid is wild. This kid is reckless, but he has power. He puts combinations together. I mean, when he smells blood in the water, this kid is going to look for the finish. He's going to throw 10, 12, 15 punches and try to get you out of there. He's got good knees up the middle, really solid takedown defense, and can lock up submissions as well. So if Antunes gets hurt and shoots a bad takedown, he's going to leave himself open to get choked. He's going to leave himself open to get caught in that guillotine, to get caught in that ninja choke. And honestly, I don't love the defensive irresponsibility of Dulatov. He leaves himself open. When he throws his combinations, his chin is kind of up in the air. And his opponent in Antunes, man, he hits hard. He has a good left hook. He moves well, throws good 1-2s. Like I said, the check left hook, probably his best weapon. He's got a good straight shot down the middle that he actually won the LFA championship with. He was able to shoot that straight right down the middle, jump on his opponent, and finish him off with ground and pound. And I mean, the guy does have good, they're not good combinations, but he has good straight punches. And against a guy who leaves their chin in the air, that could be an issue. I would not be surprised if Dulatov got caught and got put down, but I like the aggressiveness, but it's also the case of the aggression might be his downfall. Like, this kid comes forward, he puts combos together, he gets in your face, but at the same time, he can be hit. He leaves his chin, he can be hit, he can be hurt, and I do think that his opponent in the pretty hefty underdog in Antunes can hurt him, but I don't think that's going to happen, man. I really don't. I think Antunes is going to get hurt early, get rocked, and get put down. I think that this fight is kind of tailor-made to get Dulatov that violent finish early in the fight, probably under 1.5 rounds. I like Dulatov to win, probably in round 1 or round 2. I think if he does win, it is by a knockout, but he could hurt his opponent, stop the takedown, and grab the neck in a submission, which is something we talked about. Antunes is there to hurt him. He's got good straight punches, and Dulatov does leave his chin in the air because of his over-aggressiveness at certain points. I do think the over-aggressiveness of Islam the Ripper Dulatov is going to get him in trouble in certain fights, but I don't think this fight on the Contender Series is going to be one of those. I think Dulatov's going to hurt Antunes early. He's going to get him to shell up. He's going to maybe get hit with 1 or 2 counters, but then come back, throw uppercuts, throw knees up the middle, throw those 1-2s, put a combination together, and put his opponent down in the first round. I am going to go with Islam Dulatov, the Ripper Islam Dulatov, to win via a first-round knockout against Vanilto Antunes. I think he puts him down. I think he hurts him, and I think that's going to be all she wrote. Yeah, I like the Ripper here. I honestly think this kid can be halfway decent inside the UFC, but we've got to see him fight some good competition. But I like what I've seen so far, aside from his defensive irresponsibility at certain points. But yeah, give me Islam Dulatov first-round knockout in this one. Up next, we've got a fight that, honestly, not only am I not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, I don't really think these guys are UFC level. We got Mario Pinto taking on Lucas Camacho. 8-0 for Mario Pinto, 6-0 for Lucas Camacho. I don't think either of these guys look that good. I'm going to be honest with you. Pinto uses a decent jab. He has good footwork. I do think he has better footwork than Camacho. Really solid wrestling, but at the same time, he again, like we talked about with Dulatov, he kind of gets himself in trouble being over-aggressive. Like, he'll throw himself into certain situations, go for takedowns, get reversed, get into wild exchanges, get taken down, get hit on the way in, and get rocked. But when he's on the outside, when he's moving, when he's using his jab, when he's trying to find his combinations, he moves halfway decent for a big guy. And then this is another thing, man. This is heavyweight MMA. 2024 heavyweight MMA is a lot more technical than it used to be. but that's at the highest level in the UFC, the highest level in the PFL. When you're looking at regional tape, I mean, heavyweight MMA is gonna heavyweight MMA. It just is what it is. Usually these guys are pretty low level and they haven't faced the best competition, and they've looked good because they've been able to get big knockouts. They've been able to get big submissions. They've been able to get those highlight finishes against low level competition. And that does happen on the Contender Series regardless, but I think it happens more in the heavyweight division than any division in professional mixed martial arts. Pinto did win 3 fights in one night to claim a championship on the regional scene, and I can't remember the name of the organization. Let me see. I'm going to look it up right now. Levels Fight League, the LFL. And it's funny because Robin Black was actually commentating on those fights, if you remember him from back in the day on MMA YouTube. I think he's still somewhat relevant, but I'm not too sure. He won 3 fights in one night to be the champion. And if you can win 3 fights in one night, I don't care how low level it is, man. If you're winning 3 fights in one night at the professional MMA level, you got something to offer. And Camacho kind of reminds me of like a Sean Strickland style, where he's not great, he gets taken down, he gets hit, he comes back, and he's the type of guy that's just going to try to break you under that forward pressure, try to get you to tire yourself out. He's a less defensive Sean Strickland, a wish version of Sean Strickland, in my opinion. You know, you can throw the kitchen sink at him, you can hurt him, you can rock him, you can put him away, or you can try to put him away, but he's still going to keep coming forward. You take him down, he'll try to get back up. He's going to throw some good combinations and, you know, throw 1-2s down the middle, throw a good body shot, throw a good left hook to the body, jab, jab, 1-2. And I do think that he might have more volume than Mario Pinto. But in this case, man, like I said, it's pretty low-level MMA. There's not a ton to talk about when it comes to this fight specifically, but I am going to go with Mario Pinto. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm doing it just because I've seen this guy win 3 fights in one night. I've seen him get rocked. I've seen him get put on his back. I've seen him get reversed. I think this is a sloppy heavyweight MMA fight, but the fighter who I think is a little bit less sloppy in their overall game is Mario Pinto, and I think he's going to win. I think he probably wins via ground and pound TKO. It could be a submission, but yeah, I think Pinto's going to, you know, land the jab, land some good combos, move around, you know, skate around the outside of the octagon, maybe get a couple takedowns. I think Camacho might land some good shots. He might rip some shots to the body. This is a fight where I wouldn't be surprised if the underdog won, but I do think Mario Pinto is just a little bit better, and I think he's going to win. Give me Mario Pinto to win. Second round, ground and pound TKO. I think he gets his opponent out of there. I don't think he should be a huge favorite. I honestly think this fight should be lined as a pick'em because I think this is pretty low level, but I'm going to go with Pinto. I think he gets the job done. But again, this is a fight not only that I'm not like super excited to watch, but I think the underdog can win here, but I'm not going to go with him. Give me the favorite, Mario Pinto, second round, ground and pound TKO. All right, this is probably the best fight on the card. We've got the returning Cody Steele, even though he never got to fight his original opponent in Quemel Otoni. I think I'm saying his name right. He was originally supposed to fight the guy who beat Alex Pereira in MMA. Otoni, you know, quit, didn't even show up to the fight, pretty much had, you know, stage fright and didn't show up, so Cody Steele didn't get the chance to compete. You know, originally I was picking against Cody Steele. Here he's taken on a fighter who's done pretty well in Cage Warriors, in Chase and Blair. Mestizo, 6-2 as a professional MMA fighter. Really solid grappling, but also doesn't mind getting into a brawl, man. Like, this guy's going to come forward. He's going to look to land big shots. He's going to look to land head kicks, big straight punches, big overhands, big hooks. And he's got a good grappling game. You know, he can take your back and then slip into a triangle. He had a very smooth transition in his fight against Florine Pirtea, where he was able to take the back and then slide his leg through the opposite side of the neck around and lock up the triangle choke. Before that, he had an armbar where he's very good at flowing from position to position in order to set up the submission. You know, if you leave your arm open, if you leave your neck open, he will find a way to take it. Even if he's in mount, you try to bridge out, he'll just take the arm and get the armbar. He's on your back, he'll land some ground and pound. You don't want to give up your neck, He'll slide his feet through or slide his shin through and lock up the triangle choke. Like, this guy is a very opportunistic mixed martial artist. If you leave openings, if you leave a chance for him to find a way to win, if you leave a chance for him to find a way to finish, you're going to put yourself in a pretty bad predicament. And that's what Chasen Blair's good at. Chasen Blair also has knockout power on the feet. The one thing I don't like is the fact that he did lose to Ahmad Hassanzada. Now, Hassanzada got that win on the Contender Series. He's 12-3. He beat Dylan Mantello rear naked choke round 3. Looked really good in round 1. In round 2, he got dropped, got hurt. Looked like he was going to get finished. Looked like Mantello was on his way to getting the victory. And then Hassanzada just kind of gritted it out, grinded his teeth, gritted it out, and found a way to get to the back and get the submission in the 3rd round. Against a guy who didn't have the greatest showing on the Contender Series the first time, and Ahmad Hassanzada, the Lion of the Ring, fought Nazim Sadykhov on the Contender Series the first time out. So the guy is not a bad fighter at all, and, no shame in losing that fight, but it was a very weird position where Chasen Blair was on his back. Hassanzada stood up, kind of TP'd or tripoded, shook him off, and found a way to lock up his own knee bar. Like I said, a very opportunistic grappler. Cody Steele, he doesn't impress me that much, but he's got big power on the feet. He keeps his guard high, but he can be hit. But he's got good low kicks, moves around pretty well, very good wrestler. But I don't really think you want to wrestle a guy like Chasen Blair because you're going to give him a chance to get into a scramble and potentially, grab that submission. But at the same time, Chasen Blair could also get controlled with the wrestling. The positional awareness of the wrestler could beat the grappling heavy jiu-jitsu or the jiu-jitsu game and submission game of Chasen Blair. I think this fight's going to be good. I think it's going to be competitive. It's kind of a hard fight to break down, but I'm going to go with Cody Steele. I think he's a little bit more polished on the feet, but at the same time, you don't always have to be polished to win. Chasen Blair has knockouts. He can hurt you. He can drop you with one shot. I think the fighter who has more one-shot knockout power is actually Chasen Blair. But based on the fact that he fought Otoni, or he was going to fight Otoni, he didn't get the chance to fight. Now he's getting the second weight cut, but the second chance to get on the Contender Series because his opponent was too scared to fight. I think this is a tough fight, but I think it's a little bit of an easier fight for him than Quemel Otoni. I'm going to go Cody Steele. I'm going to go Cody Steele via a second round knockout. Maybe this goes to a decision, though. I would not be surprised. But Chasen Blair, he looks for the finish. He gets in your face. He can get submissions early. Like I said, very opportunistic grappler. Very good at finding positions and finding submissions, ways to finish the fight in those positions. But I'm going to go Cody Steele. I think he lands the better combinations, the crisper combinations. I think the more powerful striker might be Chasen Blair, but I think he leaves himself a little bit too open for a fighter who has the guard high and finds the counters like a Cody Steele. And Steele is also going to have the much higher level wrestling. He's just going to have to watch out for the subs of Chasen Blair. So give me Cody Steele. I'm going Cody Steele. Second round, ground and pound TKO. Second round knockout. It could be on the feet, but I think he finishes him in round 2. And I got to go with Steele here. I think he's the rightful pick. All right, and now we are at the main event for Week 9 of the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. You have a battle in the heavyweight division between the fighter who holds a victory in kickboxing over Alex Poatan Pereira and Artem Vaitov, taking on Islam Masraf, Islam Lightning Masraf. His Tapology picture with the one piece of hair missing, I don't know if he's got a scar or a burn there or if it was just a bad day, but I kind of have a feeling it probably is a scar. But yeah, Vaitov getting his chance to come into the UFC just like Quemel Otoni. Kind of funny considering two fighters who fought Alex Pereira were going to be on the same season of the Contender Series. Looking at this fight, man, I think Vaitov is the rightful favorite. Good combinations, really solid low kicks, very, very powerful low kicks. Even hurting Alex Pereira, and you know how good Pereira's low kicks are. Good boxing combinations. He is a meat and potatoes kickboxer. Nothing too flashy, nothing too crazy. inside, on the inside, good, sharp boxing combinations. Sometimes gets a little wild. Very solid body kicks and very solid low kicks. Really good striker. Much better striker than his opponent in this fight. Islam Masraf is a guy who fought a fighter in the PFL and got a round 1 knockout via a head kick against... it's not even on here. Oh, yeah, here it is. Mikhail Grogui, 10 seconds into round 1. But it looked like Grogui threw the fight. I'm going to be 100% honest. I think Grogui threw the fight. Came out with his hands down. Looked like he didn't want to be in there. So I'm not even counting that win. He's 3-0. Yeah, he got that head kick KO in the first round. But go watch that fight between Mikhail Grogui and this Islam Masraf guy. I mean, he didn't even have a fight. He clearly threw the fight, or he was just too stupid to put his hands up. But to start a fight like that, I really think he just threw the fight and wanted to make some money on the side. So I don't even count that. This guy does have power. He comes forward, lands some good combinations, puts combinations together decently well, but he's kind of just a power striker. Big power punches, knees, uppercuts, big power shots. That's all this guy really is big power shots. And I think he's going to get picked apart and knocked out by Artem Viatov, yeah. I think he's going to get finished. He's 2-1 is Viatov, but Viatov lost his only fight, or his only loss comes via TKO, but it was an injury. When he was in mount, landing ground and pound on his opponent, I believe he hurt his shoulder, and then the fight obviously went to his opponent, but he was dominating the fight. He technically should be 3-0. Having a win over Alex Pereira, he did fight him the first time, lost that fight via a split decision, but going to split decision with Pereira and then beating Pereira by decision over 5 rounds in kickboxing, it shows how good this guy really is when it comes to the striking on the feet, and I don't necessarily think we're going to see Masraf use takedowns in wrestling. Now, if he's smart, you take down the kickboxer, you use grappling, you put him on his back, you look to land ground and pound, you look to get submissions, but this guy is not going to do that. I mean, yeah, he's 3-0. He's got a guillotine choke in round 2 in his first professional MMA fight. So he does have submissions in his back pocket. But the number one submission that a striker's going to learn when they get into MMA is a guillotine choke to stop takedowns, or a ninja choke, a guillotine choke, something like that. So I don't really count that 100%. So yes, we've seen Masraf get a submission, but it was nothing too impressive. I think Viatov's going to come in here. I think he's going to put his hands up. I think he's going to walk forward. I think he's going to put combinations on this Masraf guy, who I've seen get hurt, who I've seen get rocked, who I've seen get knocked off balance, and I think he's going to put him down. I'm going to go with Artem Viatov to win via second round knockout. A lot of these main events are ending in the first round. I, for some reason, feel like round 2 is the sweet spot for Contender Series, so I'm going to go with a second round knockout. I think he lands a head kick. Well, no, you know what? We just saw a head kick from the striker on the Contender Series last week, so I don't think it's going to be a head kick. I'm going to go with an uppercut finish from Artem Viatov to get a win and get into the UFC. Like I said, the guy holds a win over Alex Pereira. That's kickboxing. That is not in mixed martial arts. So you can't take 100% from it, but you can take a little bit from it, and you know that this guy is legit when it comes to the striking, and I just don't see his opponent using grappling in this fight. I think they're going to strike, and I think Viatov's going to put him down. You know, I'll go round 1. Forget it. We'll go round 1. Give me Artem Viatov to win. Round 1 knockout. Catches him with an uppercut, putting him down to cap off week 9 of the Contender Series. If you like my picks, preview and predictions, my preview predictions and picks for this week of the Contender Series and any week prior, let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and land a spinning back elbow to a flying knee to a head kick on the notification bell so that you don't miss any uploads from the premier mixed martial arts and pro wrestling channel on YouTube. I'm your host, Double M, and I'm out.